It's pretty wild to think that on one single island, depending on which side of an invisible line you live, your entire experience with childcare and early education could be completely different. Well, that's the reality in Ireland. Today, we're going to break down these two very distinct systems and see how they really stack up.
So yeah, here's the big question, right? For families living just a few miles apart, the journey through childcare can look totally different. We're going to get into the structures, the subsidies, and of course, the real-world costs that parents are facing every single day. But before we jump into all the differences, let's start with where these two systems are actually on the same page, and that's with primary school. When it comes to primary school, we're talking about kids from around age 4 up to 12. Both sides basically agree on the fundamentals. School is for everyone, it is not optional, and it's paid for by the state. So far, so similar.
Okay, but things start to look very different when we talk about the years before primary school. This is where the two systems really begin to fork off in their own separate directions.
So, down in the Republic of Ireland, the state provides what's called the Early Childhood Care and Education Program. Though, let's be real, everyone just calls it ECCE. And this gives eligible kids a pretty solid 15 hours of free preschool every single week during term time.
Now let's just hop over the border. In Northern Ireland, the universal offer for every 3- and 4-year-old is 12.5 hours of free preschool a week. It might not sound like a huge difference, just 2.5 hours, but believe me, for a working parent, that adds up fast.
All right, so those are the free hours, but what about all the other hours that parents need to find and pay for? How do the two systems help with the actual cost of childcare? This is where their strategies get really interesting and really different.
In the Republic of Ireland, it's pretty much all about one huge program, the National Childcare Scheme, or NCS. Think of it like a big, single umbrella for childcare support. And it covers kids from just 24 weeks old all the way up to 15 years old.
And the way this NCS works is actually pretty clever. It's got two parts. First, there's a basic universal subsidy that pretty much every family can get, no matter what you earn. Then on top of that, there's an income-assessed subsidy. So if your income is below a certain level, you get extra help. It's their way of making sure the biggest support goes to the families who need it most.
Meanwhile, Northern Ireland takes a totally different path. It's more of a layered, two-step process. First, parents can use the UK-wide tax-free childcare scheme. And then they can get an extra boost from a local subsidy that's specific to Northern Ireland.
And when you combine those two schemes, the savings can be really substantial. For families who are eligible, the total reduction on their childcare bill can be up to around 32%. It's this powerful combination of a national UK policy with a very specific regional top-up.
And here's a really important update. Just recently, that Northern Ireland subsidy expanded to cover primary school-age kids too. That's a huge deal because it means a lot more families can now get help with things like after-school care.
So we've looked at the systems on paper, but what does all of this really mean for parents' bank accounts? Let's get into the real-world cost of childcare in both places.
Well, the bottom line is that affordability is still a massive challenge. Data from Northern Ireland shows that average monthly costs for full-time care can easily go over £1,000. We even hear from parents who say that any benefit they get from subsidies is almost instantly erased by providers raising their prices.
And of course, these high costs force families to make some really tough choices. You can see it right here. Parents in Northern Ireland are way more likely to have to rely on informal care from grandparents and other family members, often because they simply cannot afford the formal options.
So let's put it all together in a final side-by-side. In the Republic of Ireland, you get a bit more free preschool time and a single integrated subsidy system. In Northern Ireland, you have a two-part subsidy system that's recently grown to cover older kids. Two very different approaches to tackling the exact same challenge.
And this just leaves us with a final big question. With costs continuing to rise and policies always shifting, are these two systems going to start looking more alike? Or is the gap on this one small island just going to get wider? The answer, whatever it is going to shape the lives of families for years to come.